A famous person said that false news travels faster than truth. And by every measure that seems true, especially in artificial intelligence. The mainstream news is that Google has lost the AI race to its rivals OpenAI and Anthropic, the builder of Claude. But if we remove our eyes from the mainstream media and use our brains to think about everything these companies are doing, we start seeing a different picture. Many people believe that Google will be disrupted out of its dominance by the newcomers in the name of OpenAI and Anthropic who have money muscle behind them. That is Microsoft and Amazon respectively. Just a few years ago, this was what was being said about Microsoft by all media outlets. They seemed to have been on the losing end and were doomed to fail. But they secretly owned the developer ecosystem, and at the moment, if you were a developer, chances are you were using their products in one way or another. That will be the future of Google. Their investment in AI has been strategic. They have been paying attention to all sectors of the economy and developing specific AI for that sector. I know most of you have heard of the research assistant called NotebookLM. For those of you who have not heard about it, NotebookLM is a personalized AI research assistant powered by Google's most capable model, Gemini 1.5 Pro. When you upload the documents that are central to your projects, NotebookLM instantly becomes an expert in the information you upload and gives you a summary of the documents with citations to make sure that it is accurate. Now, on top of that, they have added an audio overview where two experts can have a dialogue on the material you added. It is not just reading the document aloud to you, but the AI can have a conversation using two or more voices on the topic you just uploaded. I have been trying it and I can say I am amazed. Honestly, the first time I heard it speak, I told myself that is how I will be studying research papers. So for the sake of a short demo to you, I will upload the famous attention is all you need paper and have it summarized. Then we shall generate an audio discussion of the paper. For those who are not familiar with the paper, it is the famous paper that introduced the transformer architecture, which has become the building block of most AI models today. It takes a while to generate the audio, but after some minutes, it will be done. Here is the AI conversation discussing the paper I uploaded. Also, note that there is a text summary on the left side, but it seems very short.
All right, everybody, welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going deep into a paper that's basically legendary in the world of machine learning. Attention is all you need.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Even the title sounds kind of mysterious and profound, right?
Yeah, it really does make you stop and think. And sometimes a really bold title like that in the research world, it's a hint that something big is about to go down.
Right. Like they knew they were about to change the game with this one. But okay, before we get into all of that, let's set the stage a little bit. Imagine, if you will, a world without, like, Siri being able to tell a joke, or Google Translate making any sense at all, or chatbots that sounded, well, like robots.
Yeah, a very different world from the one we live in now, that's for sure. This paper goes after a really fundamental challenge in machine learning: sequence transduction.
Sequence transduction. See, that's one of those terms that might sound a little intimidating. So break it down for us. What are we talking about here?
At its core, sequence transduction is about teaching machines to make sense of information that comes in a specific order. Think about the words in a sentence or the notes in a melody. Before this paper came along, the main tool in the toolbox for dealing with this was something called recurrent neural networks, RNNs for short.
RNNs, got it. So what was the problem with RNNs? Why weren't they cutting it?
Okay, so imagine you're trying to remember a really, really long shopping list. You get to the end of the list and you're trying to remember what was at the beginning. It gets kind of fuzzy, right? RNNs had a similar problem. They processed information one step at a time. So as the sequence got longer, it got harder for them to hold on to information from the earlier stages.
It's like a memory problem,
right?
Especially when you had longer pieces of text.
Exactly. The paper talks about, some attempts to kind of tweak and improve RNNs, but they also point out that there's this inherent limitation if you're just relying on this step-by-step processing. And that's where attention comes in.
Attention. The magic word right there in the title. So were they like inventing this whole concept from scratch?
Not exactly. Attention as a concept was already kind of floating around in machine learning, but this paper took it to a whole new level. They completely revolutionized how we think about processing these sequences of information.
This is where the paper really kind of takes off, right? They bring in this whole new architecture, the transformer.
Yeah.
It's like they're saying, all right, everything you thought you knew about processing these sequences, chuck it out the window.
It's a bold move, right? To just completely ditch that traditional step-by-step approach. But that's exactly what they did, the transformer. Totally different way of processing information.
Okay, so no more like plodding along one word at a time. What's the secret ingredient here? How does the transformer handle sequences without actually going in sequence?
The big innovation, the heart of it all, is something called self-attention. Instead of going word by word, the transformer looks at all the words in the sentence at the same time. It's figuring out how everything relates to everything else all at once.
Whoa. Okay, so it's like the transformer has some kind of superpower, right? Like it's got this bird's eye view, sees the whole sentence at a glance, understands all the connections between the words.
That's actually a great way to put it. Think of it like this. You're reading a sentence, but each word is a person at a party, right? The transformer is like this super observer. It's listening to every conversation in the room, understanding the dynamics, who's connected to whom, what it all means.
Okay, I like that analogy. That helps.
Yeah.
But how does it actually do that? Does it just magically know which words are important, how they all fit together?
Well, not magic, exactly. There's some pretty sophisticated math going on under the hood, but the paper does a really good job of explaining it. Basically, the transformer uses this self-attention to give each word in the sentence a kind of weight. Words that are closely related, in terms of meaning or grammatically, those get a higher weight. Less important words, lower weight.
So it's like each word has its own relationship score with every other word in the sentence. And the transformer uses those scores to figure out like the overall meaning, the message.
Exactly. And get this, it's not just one super observer making all these connections. The transformer actually uses something called multi-head attention. It's like having a multiple super observers, each one focusing on a different aspect of the sentence. One might be all about the grammar, another one's looking at the emotional tone, another one's trying to get the overall meaning.
It's like a whole team of experts analyzing the sentence from all these different angles.
Precisely. And that's what gives the transformer this really rich, nuanced understanding of the text. It's not just looking at one thing, it's looking at everything.
This is blowing my mind. Okay, but one thing I'm still kind of hung up on here. If it's not going word by word, doesn't the transformer lose track of the order of the words? Word order is pretty important, right?
Absolutely. And the creators of the transformer, they totally thought of that. They solved this with something called positional encoding.
Positional encoding. Okay, tell me more.
So imagine each word in the sentence gets its own little timestamp like you see in a chat log. That's essentially what positional encoding does. It's like injecting this information about the order of the words, even though the transformer is looking at them all at once.
So it gets to have its cake and eat it too. It sees the big picture and the nitty-gritty details at the same time.
Exactly. It's a really elegant solution, and it's a big part of why the transformer is so powerful. It can process information holistically and be detail-oriented at the same time.
Okay, that is seriously impressive. But I know our listeners are probably thinking, all right, this is all very cool, but how does this actually play out in the real world? It's not just theoretical, right? This whole attention thing actually led to some real, tangible improvements. So let's talk about that then. Real world impact. How did all this, the self-attention, the multi-head attention, the positional encoding, how did it actually change the game?
Well, these weren't just like small improvements. This was a major breakthrough. I mean, thanks to these innovations, the transformer could be trained way faster and get much better results than anything before, especially with those longer, more complex sequences.
Give us the specifics. How much faster are we talking? How much better are the results? Paint us a picture.
Okay, so imagine a world where translations are suddenly way more accurate, right? Almost like having a human translator in your pocket. That's the kind of leap we're talking about. Like on those standard tests for language tasks, like translating from English to German, the transformer it blew everything else out of the water.
So it's safe to say that people were kind of freaking out when this paper came out.
Oh, absolutely. And it wasn't just about like breaking records. It was about changing the whole game. Suddenly, things that used to take weeks to train a model for, now you could do them in days, even faster, and get better results.
Okay, that's huge. But I mean, this isn't just about like geeking out over faster processing or whatever, right? How does this actually affect the average person using technology every day?
Well, that's the exciting part. This stuff is everywhere now. Think about it, like how good Google Translate is now, or how much more human-like chatbots have gotten. Even just that little predictive text thing on your phone that finishes your sentences, a lot of that is powered by technology that came directly from this paper.
Wow. Seriously.
Yeah.
I had no idea all that stuff could be traced back to this.
Yeah, it's really a testament to the power of that fundamental research, and it goes even further. It wasn't just about this one model. It was like it sparked a whole wave of new research in NLP. People all over the world took these ideas and ran with them. So we have countless variations and improvements on the original transformer model now, all thanks to this paper.
But attention, it wasn't just a catchy title. It was this whole fundamental shift in how we approach machine learning. And it's still shaping the field today.
Totally. And, I think it really just highlights how important it is to think differently, to be willing to question everything.
This has been incredible. We've gone from those limitations of RNNs to the elegance of self-attention and all this amazing stuff.
Yeah.
This whole revolution in how machines understand and process language.
And the story doesn't end there. The paper even mentions, just briefly, this idea of applying these principles to other things, like imagine applying it to images or music, even video.
Wow, the possibilities are really endless. So listeners, next time you're using some piece of technology and you're thinking, man, this is almost like human, remember, attention is all you need. It might just be the reason that exists.
And hey, if this got you curious, dive in and explore more. What else could this attention is all you need approach be applied to? The future is wide open.
And that is all the time we have for today's deep dive. Until next time, keep those brains engaged, and we will catch you all on the flip side.
Were you impressed like I was? Not only that, you can continue the conversation using text if you have questions that you need answers. Like in the example we used, the AI gives us suggestions of questions that we can ask. Once it provides answers, you can see the citations it offers at the bottom of each answer to make sure that it is not hallucinating. I have to admit this is a cool product. Let me know your thoughts on this. What do you think? Is it an important development, or is there no real use case for it? Glad you would join me, and remember to hit the like button and subscribe for more.